The day my husband carried me into the hospital, I remember the nurse looking at him before she looked at me. Her eyes moved slow, deliberate, like she was reading something written across his face that I couldn't see. My vision was blurred. Everything felt soft around the edges, like I was watching my own life through a fogged-up window. I could hear his voice, though, clear as day, steady, concerned. "She fell down the stairs," he said. I tried to catch her, but the nurse nodded, didn't smile, just nodded and gestured toward a room. I wanted to say something. I wanted to tell her the truth, but my tongue felt heavy. My jaw ached, and the world kept tilting sideways. So I said nothing. I let him carry me. I let him lie, because that's what I'd been doing for 3 years. It didn't start with violence. It started with flowers, with compliments, with a man who opened doors and remembered how I liked my coffee. 2 sugars, no cream. Marcus had a smile that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. When we met at my cousin's wedding, he spent the entire night talking to me like I mattered, like my words were poetry. We got married 8 months later. I wore my mother's dress. He cried at the altar. Everyone said we were perfect. And for a while, we were. Our apartment wasn't much. A 1-bedroom on the 3rd floor with a kitchen window that overlooked the bus stop. But it was ours. I'd wake up early to make him breakfast before his shift at the plant. Eggs, toast, orange juice in the chipped blue mug he loved. He'd kiss my forehead on his way out, and I'd spend the day cleaning, cooking, waiting for him to come home, waiting for him to notice me, waiting for him to love me the way he did in the beginning. The first time he hit me, I didn't call it that. It was a push. We'd been arguing about money, something small, I can't even remember what, and I said something that made him angry. His face changed. Just for a second, like a shadow passed over him, then his hand was on my shoulder and I was stumbling backward into the wall. He apologized immediately, got down on his knees, cried. "I don't know what came over me," he said, holding my hands. "I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." I forgave him, because that's what you do when you love someone, right? You forgive them. You give them another chance. But the second time came faster. Then the third. Then I stopped counting. It became a rhythm, a terrible, predictable rhythm. He'd come home late, smelling like beer and something sour I couldn't name. I'd have dinner waiting, pork chops, mashed potatoes, green beans, but it was never hot enough, never seasoned right, never what he wanted. "You trying to poison me?" he'd say, pushing the plate away. I'd apologize. Offer to make something else. Sometimes that was enough. Sometimes it wasn't. On the bad nights, I learned to make myself small, to fold into the corner of the couch and breathe quietly, like if I didn't take up any space, he'd forget I was there. But smallness didn't protect me. Nothing did. His fists found me in the kitchen, in the bedroom, in the hallway between our lives. And every time afterward, he'd cry, he'd hold me, he'd whisper promises into my hair. "I'll get help. I swear, baby, I'll stop drinking. I'll be better." I believed him. I had to believe him. Because if I didn't, if I let myself see the truth, then what did that make me? What kind of woman stays with a man who hurts her? What kind of woman lets herself become a ghost in her own home? I stopped seeing my friends. It was easier that way. Easier than explaining the bruises. Easier than lying about why I couldn't come to brunch, couldn't make it to the birthday party, couldn't pick up the phone. My sister, Janelle, called me every week. "You okay?" she'd ask. "I'm fine," I'd say. "You don't sound fine. I'm just tired." She didn't believe me. I could hear it in the silence on the other end of the line. But she didn't push. Not yet. I think she was waiting for me to ask for help. I think I was waiting for that too. The morning it happened, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. Marcus had been drinking the night before. Not a lot, just enough to make his words sharper, his movements heavier. He'd fallen asleep on the couch with the TV still on, and I'd covered him with a blanket before going to bed alone. When I came into the kitchen that morning, he was already awake, sitting at the table, staring at nothing. "Morning?" I said softly. He didn't respond. I moved carefully, quietly, made coffee, kept my back to him. I could feel his eyes on me, heavy and cold. "You think you're better than me." I froze. "What?" "You heard me." I turned around slowly. His jaw was tight. His hands were curled into fists on the table. "Marcus, Don't lie to me." My heart started pounding. "I'm not lying. I don't think that. I never." He stood up, and I knew what was coming. I don't remember all of it. I remember his hand around my wrist. I remember trying to pull away. I remember the sound of my own voice, high, desperate, unfamiliar. "Stop, please, Marcus, stop." But he didn't stop. He never stopped. I remember the floor, cold tile against my cheek, the taste of copper in my mouth, the way the ceiling light looked too bright, too far away. I remember thinking, this is it. This is how it ends. And then, nothing. When I woke up, I was moving. No, being moved. Arms under me, voices above me, the smell of his cologne mixed with sweat. "Stay with me, baby. Stay with me." His voice, shaking now. I tried to open my eyes, but everything was heavy. My body, my thoughts, my breath were almost there. "Just hold on." The hospital. He was taking me to the hospital, and as the world blurred and tilted and faded in and out, I heard him practicing. She fell down the stairs. I tried to catch her. She fell down the stairs, over and over. Like a prayer, like a lie he needed to believe. The emergency room smelled like disinfectant and something metallic I couldn't name. I came in and out of consciousness like a radio switching channels. Static, voices, silence, then static again. I could hear Marcus talking to someone. His voice was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm you use when you're trying to convince someone of something that isn't true. "She's been so tired lately," he was saying. "Working long hours. I think she just lost her balance at the top of the stairs." A woman's voice responded, softer, professional. "And you were there when it happened?" A pause. Just a heartbeat, but I felt it. "I was in the other room, heard the noise, came running." Another pause. "I see." I wanted to open my eyes, wanted to scream, but my body wouldn't cooperate. It felt like I was trapped underwater, trying to reach the surface but never quite making it. Someone touched my arm. Gentle, warm fingers pressing against my wrist. "Can you hear me, sweetheart?" I managed to open my eyes, just a little. Everything was too bright. A face came into view. A black woman, maybe in her 50s, with kind eyes and silver-framed glasses. She was wearing scrubs, dark blue with little moons on them. "I'm Dr. Patterson," she said quietly. "You're safe now. We're going to take care of you." Safe. The word felt foreign. They took me back for x-rays, CT scan, blood work. Marcus stayed in the waiting room. I heard him tell the nurse he'd wait, as long as it takes, like he was husband of the year, like he hadn't been the reason I was there in the first place. Dr. Patterson stayed with me the whole time. She didn't ask many questions at first, just kept her hand on my shoulder while the machines hummed and clicked around me. But when we were alone, when the techs had left the room and it was just the two of us, she pulled a chair close to the bed and sat down. "I need to ask you something," she said. Her voice was low, careful. "And I need you to be honest with me." I stared at the ceiling, my throat felt tight. "Did you fall down the stairs?" Silence. The monitors beeped beside me, steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat that wasn't mine. "Yes," I whispered. She didn't move, didn't look away. "Okay," she said softly. "Okay." But I could tell she didn't believe me. They admitted me overnight for observation. Concussion protocol, they said. Possible internal bleeding. They wanted to monitor me. Marcus came into the room once they'd settled me in. He pulled a chair up next to the bed and took my hand. His palm was sweaty. "You scared me," he said. His eyes were red. He looked like he'd been crying. Maybe he had been. "I thought I was gonna lose you." I didn't say anything. He squeezed my hand. The doctor said you're gonna be okay. Just gotta rest. I'll take care of everything at home. Don't worry about a thing. I nodded because what else could I do? He stayed for an hour, talked about work, about needing to fix the porch light, about calling my sister to let her know I was okay. Don't tell her what happened, I said quickly. He frowned. Why not? She'll just worry. I'll call her when I get home. He studied my face for a moment, then nodded. Yeah, okay, that's probably smart. When visiting hours ended, he kissed my forehead and left, and for the first time in hours, I could breathe. Dr. Patterson came back around midnight. I wasn't asleep. Couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face, felt his hands. She knocked softly on the door frame, even though the door was open. You're awake. Can't sleep. She stepped inside and closed the door behind her. Not all the way. Just enough. She didn't sit this time, just stood at the foot of the bed with her hands in her pockets. I've been doing this for 23 years and I've seen a lot of falls, a lot of accidents. I didn't respond. But I've also seen a lot of lies. My chest tightened. She walked around to the side of the bed, pulled out a tablet, and tapped the screen a few times. Then she turned it toward me. These are your x-rays. I looked. Didn't know what I was looking at. She pointed. You have 3 broken ribs. 2 of them are fresh. But this one, she zoomed in on the image, this one is older. Maybe 2-3 weeks old. Healed, but still visible. I stopped breathing. You also have bruising on your upper arms. Defensive wounds. The kind you get when you try to block someone. She set the tablet down and looked at me. Falling down the stairs doesn't do that. I opened my mouth, closed it. You don't have to tell me anything, she said gently, but I want you to know that I see you. I see what's happening, and I want to help. Tears blurred my vision. I blinked them back. He didn't mean to, I whispered. He gets angry sometimes, but he loves me. He always says he's sorry. Dr. Patterson's expression didn't change. She just nodded slowly. I believe he says he's sorry, but sorry doesn't heal broken ribs, and love doesn't look like this. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small card, set it on the table beside me. This is a hotline for women in situations like yours. They have resources, shelters, legal help, people who understand. I stared at the card, didn't touch it. I can't, I said. I can't just leave. Where would I even go? Somewhere safe. He'll find me. Not if you don't want him to. I shook my head. You don't understand. He's not always like this. When he's good, he's really good. He just has bad days, she finished. I nodded. She sat down on the edge of the bed. Her voice was softer now, almost a whisper. Sweetheart, I had a daughter. Her name was Simone. Had. Past tense. I looked up at her. She married a man who had bad days too, and she made excuses for him, just like you're doing now. She told me he loved her, that he was sorry, that it would get better. Her eyes were wet now. I found her in her bathroom. She didn't fall down any stairs. My stomach dropped. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you because I wish someone had told her what I'm about to tell you. She leaned closer. It doesn't get better. It only gets worse. And one day, he won't stop. I couldn't sleep after she left. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of her words pressing down on my chest. One day, he won't stop. I thought about all the times he'd apologized, all the times I'd forgiven him, all the times I'd convinced myself it was the last time. And I realized something. I'd been waiting for him to change, but he wasn't going to change. He was only going to get worse. The next morning, they discharged me. Marcus was already in the lobby, waiting. He smiled when he saw me. took my bag, wrapped his arm around my waist. "Let's get you home," he said. Dr. Patterson was standing near the nurse's station. Our eyes met. She didn't say anything, just gave me a small nod. The card was folded in my pocket. I got into the car, and as Marcus drove us home, talking about stopping for groceries and maybe picking up a movie, I stared out the window and felt something shift inside me. Something small, something quiet, but something real. I wasn't ready yet, but I was starting to see the door. The first 3 days after the hospital, Marcus was perfect. He brought me tea in bed, fluffed my pillows, made sure I took my pain medication on time. He even called in sick to work so he could stay home and take care of me. "You just rest," he'd say, tucking the blanket around my shoulders. "I've got everything under control." And he did. He cooked, he cleaned, he smiled. It was like living with a different man, but I knew better now. I'd learned to recognize the pattern, the cycle. The violence, then the apology, the sweetness that followed the storm. It was all part of the same dance. One I'd been dancing for 3 years without realizing I was allowed to stop. The card Dr. Patterson gave me was hidden in the bottom of my dresser drawer, tucked inside an old jewelry box Marcus never touched. I hadn't called the number yet, hadn't even looked at it more than once, but I knew it was there, and knowing that was enough for now. On the 4th day, Marcus went back to work. I waited until I heard his truck pull out of the driveway before I got out of bed. My ribs still ached, and my face was still bruised, yellowing now around my left eye, purple along my jaw, but I could move. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror for a long time, stared at the woman looking back at me. She looked tired, broken, small, but she was still there. I touched the bruise on my cheek, pressed gently, felt the pain bloom underneath. Dr. Patterson's voice echoed in my head. One day, he won't stop. I took a breath, then another, and then I picked up my phone. Janelle answered on the second ring. "Finally," she said. "I've been calling you all week. Are you okay?" I opened my mouth, closed it. "Hello? You there?" "Yeah," I whispered. "I'm here." Silence. Then, softer. "What happened?" I sat down on the edge of the tub. My hands were shaking. "I need help." She was at my apartment in 30 minutes. I heard her knock, 3 quick taps, and I opened the door just enough to let her in. She took one look at my face, and her whole body went still. "Oh my God." I stepped back, let her inside, closed the door. She didn't say anything at first, just pulled me into her arms and held me. I didn't cry. I think I was too empty for tears, but I let her hold me anyway. When she finally pulled back, her eyes were wet. "How long?" 3 years. 3... She stopped, shook her head. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I couldn't." "You couldn't, or you didn't want to?" I looked away. She took my hand. "It doesn't matter. You're telling me now. That's what matters." She sat me down on the couch and paced the room, her mind already working. "You can't stay here. You know that, right?" "I know." "He'll do it again." "I know. So we need to get you out, today, before he comes home." I nodded. She knelt down in front of me. "Do you have somewhere you can go?" I pulled the card from my pocket, handed it to her. She read it, then looked up at me. "When did you get this?" "The hospital." "And you haven't called?" I shook my head. She stood up, pulled out her phone. "I'm calling right now." The woman on the other end of the line was calm, professional. She asked questions. Was I in immediate danger? Did I have injuries? Did I have children? Did I have a safe place to go tonight? Janelle answered for me when I couldn't find the words. 20 minutes later, we had a plan. There was a shelter across town. They had a bed available. They could take me that evening, but I had to bring identification, any medications, and only what I could carry. "We'll help you figure out the rest," the woman said. "One step at a time. One step at a time." I could do that. Janelle helped me pack. We moved quickly, quietly. I took my documents, birth certificate, social security card, the marriage license I wished I'd never signed. I took my medication, a few changes of clothes, my mother's necklace. I didn't take much because I didn't need much. I just needed to leave. Janelle kept looking at the clock. "What time does he come home?" "Usually around 6. "It's 4:30 now. We need to go." I looked around the apartment one last time, at the couch where I used to wait for him, at the kitchen table where I'd apologized for things that weren't my fault, at the door room that I'd learned to close so quietly he wouldn't hear. This place had been my home, but it had also been my prison, and I was ready to walk out. We were halfway down the stairs when I heard it. The sound of a truck engine. Janelle froze. "Is that?" "He's early." My heart slammed against my ribs. We ran down the rest of the stairs, through the lobby, out the back door into the parking lot. Janelle's car was parked 3 rows over. We threw my bag in the back seat and climbed in. She started the engine just as Marcus's truck pulled into the front lot. "Get down," she hissed. I ducked low in the seat, held my breath. Through the window, I could see him, getting out of the truck, looking around, pulling out his phone, calling me. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Once, twice, 3 times. Janelle put the car in reverse, slowly, carefully. "Don't look," she whispered. "Just stay down." We backed out, turned, drove towards the exit. I didn't breathe until we were on the main road, didn't look back until we'd made it 3 blocks away. And when I finally sat up, I realized something. I was shaking, but I was free. The shelter was a plain brick building on the east side of town. No signs, no markings, just a number on the door. Janelle walked me inside. A woman met me in the lobby, middle-aged with short gray hair and a kind smile. Her name was Carol. "You're safe here," she said. "He can't find you. No one can." I nodded, didn't trust my voice. Carol led me down a hallway to a small room, a bed, a dresser, a window with bars on it. "It's not much, but it's yours, for as long as you need it." Janelle hugged me tight before she left. "I'll come check on you tomorrow, and I'll handle your phone. He's gonna keep calling. Let him." She pulled back, looked at me. "You sure?" I nodded, because I was. That night, I lay in the small bed and stared at the ceiling. My phone buzzed every few minutes. Texts, calls, voicemails. I didn't answer any of them, but I listened to one. His voice was frantic, desperate. "Baby, where are you? I came home and you're gone. Your stuff's gone. What's going on? Did something happen? Are you okay? Please call me back, please. I'm worried. I love you. Just call me, please." I deleted it. And then I blocked his number. 2 days later, Janelle called me. "He showed up at my place." I stomach dropped. "What?" "Don't worry, I didn't tell him anything, but he's looking for you. He went to your mom's house too." "What did she say?" "She told him to leave. Said if he came back, she'd call the cops." I smiled, just a little. "There's something else," Janelle said. Her voice changed, got quieter. "He went to the hospital." "What?" "He tried to find out who your doctor was, said he wanted to send a thank you note, but the staff wouldn't tell him anything." I closed my eyes. "Dr. Patterson." "But here's the thing," Janelle continued. "One of the nurses recognized him from the news." I sat up. "What?" "Apparently, he's been in trouble before, years ago, before you met him. Assault charge. It got dropped, but it's still on record. My blood ran cold. I'm sending you the article, she said. A minute later, my phone buzzed. I opened the link, and there he was. Marcus, 10 years younger, same face, same smile. The headline read, "Man arrested in domestic violence case. Charges dropped after victim recants." I scrolled down. There was a photo of her, the victim, a young woman with dark hair and tired eyes. She looked like me. I showed the article to Carol. She read it, then looked at me. "Do you want to press charges?" "I don't know." "You don't have to decide right now, but you have options. You have proof. The hospital documented your injuries. Dr. Patterson's notes are on file. If you want to move forward, we can help you." I thought about it. Thought about him out there, looking for me, calling, texting, pretending to be worried. Thought about the woman in the article, the one who recanted. Thought about Dr. Patterson's daughter. One day, he won't stop. I looked up at Carol. "I want to press charges." 3 weeks later, Marcus was arrested. Janelle called to tell me. She was crying, happy crying. "They got him," she said. "Assault, battery, violation of a protective order. He tried to come to the shelter last week. Did you know that?" "I didn't." "He's being held without bail. The prosecutor says they have a strong case." I sat down, let the words sink in. He was in jail. He couldn't hurt me anymore. For the first time in 3 years, I felt something I'd almost forgotten. Relief. The trial happened 4 months later. I didn't want to go, didn't want to see his face, didn't want to sit in a courtroom and relive every moment of pain, every bruise, every time I'd convinced myself it was my fault. But Carol sat with me the night before and held my hand. "You don't have to do this alone," she said. "We'll be there. Your sister will be there, and you're stronger than you think." I wasn't sure I believed her, but I showed up anyway. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, colder too. I sat in the front row with Janelle on one side and Carol on the other. Dr. Patterson was there too. She'd been called as a witness. When she walked in, she caught my eye and gave me a small nod. That nod meant everything. Then they brought him in. Marcus. He was thinner. His hair was longer. He wore an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs, and when he saw me, his face crumpled. He mouthed something. I couldn't hear it, but I knew what it was. "I'm sorry." I looked away. The prosecutor was a woman in her 40s named Miss Diane Chen. She was sharp, direct. She didn't waste words. She laid out the case methodically. The hospital records, the x-rays showing old and new injuries, Dr. Patterson's testimony about the bruising, the broken ribs, the pattern of abuse. "This wasn't an accident," Miss Chen said, her voice steady. "This was a sustained pattern of violence against a woman who had nowhere to go and no way out." Marcus's lawyer tried to argue that I'd never reported anything, that there was no prior police record, that it was my word against his. But then Miss Chen brought up the article, the other woman, the one from 10 years ago. "My client has a history," Marcus's lawyer said quickly, "but that case was dismissed. The charges were dropped." "Because the victim was too afraid to testify," Miss Chen shot back. "Just like my client almost was." The judge looked at me. "Would you like to make a statement?" she asked. My throat tightened. I hadn't prepared anything, didn't know what to say, but I stood up anyway. I walked to the front of the courtroom. My hands were shaking. I looked at Marcus, really looked at him. He was crying, silently, his shoulders shaking. Part of me, the old part, the part that had loved him once, wanted to feel sorry for him, but I didn't. I took a breath. "For 3 years," I said quietly, "I made excuses for you. I told myself you didn't mean it, that you were stressed, that you loved me, that it would get better." My voice cracked. I steadied it. But it didn't get better. It got worse. And every time you said you were sorry, I believed you. Because I wanted to believe you. Because I didn't know how to leave. I looked at the judge. He took everything from me. My confidence, my safety, my sense of self. He made me feel like I was nothing, like I deserved it. I turned back to Marcus. But I didn't deserve it. No one does. He was shaking his head, whispering something I couldn't hear. I'm not asking for revenge. I'm just asking for justice, so that the next woman, because there will be a next woman, doesn't have to go through what I went through. I sat down. The courtroom was silent. The judge sentenced him to 5 years. 5 years for assault, battery, violation of a protective order. It wasn't enough. Not really. Not for 3 years of pain. But it was something. And as they led him away, he looked back at me one last time. I didn't look away. I watched him go. And I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Free. 6 months after the trial, I moved into my own apartment. It was small, just a studio on the second floor, but it had a big window that let in the morning light. I painted the walls a soft yellow, bought a plant for the kitchen counter, hung my mother's necklace on a hook by the door. Janelle helped me move in. We ordered pizza and sat on the floor, eating straight from the box. How does it feel? She asked. I looked around, at the blank walls waiting to be filled, at the empty space that was mine and mine alone. I said, it feels like starting over. She smiled. Good. That's exactly what it should feel like. I started therapy a month later. It was hard. Harder than I expected. There were days I didn't want to talk. Days I wanted to cancel. Days I cried so hard I thought I might break. But my therapist, a woman named Dr. Ellis, was patient. Healing isn't linear, she told me. Some days you'll feel strong. Some days you'll feel like you're back at square one. Both are okay. She taught me about trauma, about cycles of abuse, about how the brain rewires itself to survive. She said, you did what you had to do to stay alive, and now you're learning how to live again. Live again. I liked the sound of that. I started small. I got a job at a bookstore downtown, just part-time, but it was mine. I liked the quiet, the smell of paper and coffee, the customers who came in looking for something, anything to make them feel less alone. I understood that feeling. I reconnected with old friends, slowly, carefully. I told them the truth. Not all of it, not at first, but enough. They didn't judge me. They didn't ask why I stayed. They just welcomed me back. One afternoon, about a year after the trial, I was walking through the park near my apartment when I saw her, Dr. Patterson. She was sitting on a bench, reading a book. I almost walked past, almost didn't say anything, but then she looked up, and she smiled. I was hoping I'd see you again, she said. I sat down beside her. I never got to thank you. You don't need to. Yes, I do. You saved my life. She closed her book, looked at me with those kind, steady eyes. No, she said gently, you saved your own life. I just helped you see the door. We sat there in silence for a while, watching people pass, watching life happen around us. How are you doing? She asked finally. I thought about it. Really thought about it. I'm okay, I said. Some days are harder than others, but I'm okay. She nodded. That's all anyone can ask for. Before I left, I hugged her. Thank you, I whispered, for seeing me. She said, I'll always see you. 2 years after I left, I got a letter. It was from the woman in the article, the one that Marcus had hurt before me. Her name was Angela. She'd heard about the trial, about my testimony, and she wanted me to know that she was sorry. Sorry she'd recanted, sorry she hadn't been strong enough to stop him before he found me. I wrote her back, told her it wasn't her fault, that I understood, that I didn't blame her. that she'd survived, and that was enough. We met for coffee a few weeks later. She was older than me, quieter, but when she smiled, I saw myself. "Do you ever think about him?" she asked. "Sometimes," I admitted, "but not the way I used to. I don't miss him. I don't wonder what he's doing. I just remember. And then I move on." She nodded. "Yeah, me too." We talked for hours about everything, about nothing, and when we left, I realized something. I wasn't alone. I'd never been alone. It's been 3 years now since I left. 3 years since I walked out of that apartment with nothing but a bag and a hope that things could be different. And they are different. I'm different. I'm not the woman I was before Marcus. I'll never be her again. She was softer, more trusting, less scarred. But I'm not the woman I was with Marcus either. I'm not small anymore. I'm not silent. I'm somewhere in between. I'm healing. And healing, I've learned, isn't about going back to who you were. It's about becoming who you're meant to be. Some nights I still dream about him. I dream that I'm back in that apartment, that I never left, that I'm still waiting for him to come home, still bracing for the sound of his footsteps, still folding myself into corners. But then I wake up, and I'm in my own bed, in my own apartment, in my own life. And I remember, I got out. I survived. And I'm still here. If you're reading this, if you're listening to my story, and you see yourself in it, I want you to know something. You're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not alone. And it's not your fault. I know how hard it is to leave. I know how many reasons you have to stay. I know how scary it is to imagine a life without him, even when life with him is unbearable. But I also know this. You deserve better. You deserve safety. You deserve peace. You deserve to live without fear. And you are so much stronger than you think. I didn't believe that when Dr. Patterson first told me, but it was true. And it's true for you too. Leaving isn't easy. It's messy. It's terrifying. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. But staying is harder. Because staying costs you your life. Not always in the way you think. Not always all at once. But piece by piece, day by day. Until one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. I know. Because I was her. But I'm not anymore. And you don't have to be either. There are people who will help you, hotlines, shelters, advocates, doctors who see what's happening and won't look away. You just have to take the first step. It doesn't have to be a big step. It can be small. A phone call, a conversation, a card tucked into a drawer, just one step. And then another. And then another. Until one day, you realized you've walked all the way out. I think about Dr. Patterson's daughter sometimes, Simone, the woman who didn't make it out. And I think about Angela, the woman who recanted. And I think about myself, the woman who left. We're all part of the same story, a story that's been told too many times. But it doesn't have to end the same way every time. It didn't for me, and it doesn't have to for you. I don't know where Marcus is now. He got out of prison 8 months ago. Part of me wonders if he thinks about me, if he regrets what he did, if he's changed. But mostly, I don't think about him at all. Because my life isn't about him anymore. It's about me. It's about the mornings I wake up without fear. It's about the nights I sleep without nightmares. It's about the moments I laugh without wondering if I'm allowed to. It's about the person I'm becoming. And she's someone I'm proud to be. So if you're out there, holding on by a thread, Wondering if you'll ever be free? You will. I promise you, you will. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Because you are worth it. And your life, your real life, the one where you're safe and whole and seen, it's waiting for you. You just have to take the first step. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. I know it wasn't easy to hear. It wasn't easy to live either. But I'm sharing it because I believe stories like mine need to be told. Not to scare anyone, not to shame anyone, but to remind you, and maybe remind myself, that survival is possible, that healing is possible, that freedom is possible. I want to ask you something, and I want you to really think about it. If someone you loved was in my situation, trapped, hurting, afraid, what would you want them to do? Would you want them to stay silent? To keep making excuses? To wait until it was too late? Or would you want them to reach out? To ask for help? To believe they deserved better? Now ask yourself this. Why would you expect any less for yourself? You deserve the same compassion, the same grace, the same chance at a life without fear. And if my story can help even one person see that, if it can help even one person take that first step toward the door, then every word was worth it. If my story touched you, if it resonated, or you just want to share your thoughts, leave a comment below. Your words matter. Your story matters. And don't forget to subscribe, because there are more stories to tell, more voices that need to be heard. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are not alone.